How's it going, everyone? This is Andre Williams, and over here we talk stocks and we focus on one thing. Always protect your profits. And today we're going to be talking about Mullen, which was up 5.26% on the day. We've been talking about those key levels to watch. I told you guys we would have resistance right around $1.70. Where did we see a high today? At $1.71. So we did see some strength, so I want to make sure you guys are prepared going into tomorrow. Let's jump into the agenda. If you're new to this channel, I just want to let you know we have timestamps down below inside the description. But if you're a shareholder, you're thinking about taking a position, I highly suggest you watch this full entire video. So the first thing we're going to go over is a technical analysis. We're going to be taking a look at the overall price action. We want to know support. We want to know resistance. We want to know what it looks like in the bearish case scenario and as well as in the bullish case scenario. And then we're going to be going on Fintel, taking a look at the short interest information. The reason why this is important because it does have an impact on the way the stock performs. And then we're going to be taking a look at the order flow distribution. We want to know the buying and the selling behavior on the retail side and as well as on the institutional side. And then when all of that is done, we'll be going into the final thoughts and as well as some more details. So let's get to it. So we're going to do a technical analysis for Mullen. Let's see how it performed on the day. So it ended up closing at $1.60, being up 5.26%. On the low, it tested $1.51, and then on the high, testing $1.71. When we take a look at the volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 91.943 million shares, and the average volume over 10 trading days is at 55.632 million shares. So we had well above the average in regards to volume, and it's part of the reasons why we saw some strength in this stock. Now, when we take a look at our chart, which is a daily chart, you can see from the RSI down below, it's at 63.10. And then when we take a look at our moving averages, we are below the 200-day, but we are above the 21-day EMA and as well as for the 50-day. But do keep in mind, Mullen is still in the bear market since it is trading below the 200-day moving average. So if you guys remember what I said yesterday, the next area where we could see some resistance for this play and where we want to see it get above is right at $1.70. We saw a high today at $1.71 before we pulled back. So everything is going according to plan. As far as where we tested on the low, it was at $1.51. So what does this mean? We formed another higher low. So we're seeing a continuation of higher lows and as well as higher highs. And this is extremely bullish. So the move that we are looking for, since we did test $1.70, I want to see us getting further above. And the next area where I want to see Mullen get to will be right here around 185. And of course, we have this psychological area right here at $2. We could see a lot of selling pressure at this level. I want to make sure you're being clear about that. But if we have buyers who are stepping in, then we should be able to break above $2. If not, then we will have a strong pullback, and that's where we want to see where it would go from there. But of course, I'll keep you guys updated. But now, if we decide to have some consolidation or maybe we have some weakness going into tomorrow, I want us to stay above 151. So if we have a pullback, the worst case scenario, if it did break below 151, I'd want to see support at least above the 50-day moving average, which is at 133, or even if we can get it kicking in around in the mid $1.40 range, that is not bad either. But for the most part, Mullen is looking really good. Let's see what it does going into tomorrow. Let's take a look at the short interest information. So we're going to take a look at the recent short interest information from Mullen. The off-exchange short volume ratio is at 33.67%, and the off-exchange short volume is just over 21.17 million shares. Scrolling down on the page, the short shares availability is at 0, updated 29 minutes ago. And then for the short borrow fee rate, it is at 16.42%. When we take a look at the history of the short volume, we can see for the close of the 17th, it is at 51.17. And then for the close of the 21st, being at 33.67. So that is a significant decrease right there. And then when we take a look at the short interest percentage of the float, being at 8.86%, if we continue to have this buying volume and momentum, we'll continue to see upside in Mullen. Now let's move on to the order flow distribution. Now let's take a look at the order flow distribution from Mullen. So we see on the inflow, it's at 26.46 million, and then on the outflow, it's at 28.55 million. So we had an outflow day. Taking a look at the breakdown, on the large, it was 9.25 million. On the medium, it was 12.55 million. And then on the small, it was 4.66 million. Taking a look at the outflow side, you can see on the large, it was 9.44 million. On the medium, it was 14.53 million. And
and then on the small, it was 4.58 million. Taking a look at the large scale orders in the last 5 days, you can see for June the 22nd, which is today, we had that negative outflow of 0.18 million. Analyzing the numbers even further for the small scale orders that tend to represent the retail side, you can see that we had more buying than we had selling. And then when we take a look at what happened on the medium, we had more selling than we had buying. And then for the large, which represents whales, institutions, and funds, we had more selling than we had buying. And then when we take a look at the turnover ratio, it was at 27.78%. No surprises why it's high. We know that Mullen is a volatile stock and it does gain the attention of a lot of traders. It also has been showing a lot of strength. We've been following it along. It's been following the game plan. Let's get into the final thoughts and we'll go over some more details. So for my final thoughts for Mullen, when it comes to the price action, it is looking really, really good. And here's the reason. We've been forming higher lows and higher highs for 6 trading days. And as far as the high that we saw today was at $1.71. And in yesterday's video, I was saying the next area we could have some resistance is right around $1.70. But another thing to keep in mind as well, we are above the 21-day EMA and we're also above the 50-day moving average. So what does all of this mean? It is looking very bullish. This run can continue. So the next level that you want to look out for is around the mid $1.80 range. And of course, we have $2, which is the psychological area for this play. So what does that mean? We could have a lot of selling pressure right around $2 or just getting there. So what we need are bulls to step in to continue to buy up the stock so it can push it up further. So please add that to your homework in regards to those levels. Another thing is, if we end up having a pullback, we tested a low at $1.51. So we want this area to hold. Most preferably, I want to see us form another higher low. So any price action where we test support above 151 is definitely a good look for this stock going into tomorrow. So keep an eye on that. If we end up actually breaking through the low that we actually had today, as long as Mullen can stay above the 50-day moving average, which is around $1.33, I'm going to call it right now. As long as we can stay above $1.40, this play is going to be safe. So that's why I want to make sure that you guys have a strategy, and also make sure if you're trading this play that you're moving up your stops. This is very important. I want to make sure you guys are protecting your profits. You put in the work to make sure that you had a strategy, make sure that you protect that cash. Also, when we went on Fintel, taking a look at the recent short interest information, we still have shorts who are heavily vested in this play. We see the short borrow fees are continuing to rise as well. So one thing that we do know for a fact that the buying volume does continue since we did have above average volume on the day. Mullen can take off further. I know I sound like a broken record saying this, but I just want to make sure you guys can have a good idea of where this stock could go. You know what it looks like to the upside and as well as for the downside if we decide to have a pullback or some sort of consolidation. We also have to talk about the catalyst. So they ended up filing some patent applications. So many are saying, well, you know what? That's what brought in the buying volume. And if that was the case, anyone who was able to take some profits or who has moved up their stops and they're still in this play looking for some more upside, you were congratulated for your patience. Another point to bring into consideration, we know that this play is also catalyst driven. So the more catalysts that we have coming out, this run will continue. And we need that above average volume for the play. I can't emphasize that more than enough. We are in a bear market, so we need to have buyers coming in on a consistent basis. If we don't have buyers coming in on a consistent basis, and then we have sellers or we have some profit taking that's going to be going on, then the stock could pull back. And that's where you got to start asking yourself that question. Are things still looking good? Is this near my stop? Again, you have to make sure that you evaluate your situation. Everyone got in at a different price. Many people got in right when it hit around $1 or below $1.10 when I said that it had a gap that needed to be filled at $1.03, and they're still riding that momentum up. But if you got in later, then of course you got to have a different game plan for yourself and you got to do what works best for you. I'm not going to be that type of channel to say, well, you know what, Mullen is going to go to the moon. It doesn't matter what price you pay. You need to get in right now. I think that is very irresponsible. Plus, I can't give you guys financial advice. And at the same time, we need to be realistic here. We're here to make some money. It's not about having emotions. It's not about getting all excited and joining the crowd and so forth. It's about protecting your money and make sure you're letting it grow inside of the stock market, since you're getting all the up-to-date news and as well as the strategies when it comes to these type of plays. So I hope you enjoyed this video and I can't wait to see how the stock performs going into tomorrow. We'll talk soon.